One of the best talkers on the ESPN these days, especially when it's coming to college basketball, is Seth Greenberg, and the former coach, who I have known for now over a decade, when I actually beat him in an NCAA tournament bet, and I got some cotton T-shirts from him for Virginia Tech when he was coaching there. Don't worry, I've given them to my father, and I said I will not wear them anymore because that's not where Seth is. And Seth said if you win, like being Seth, that if he won, that I would get him some bagels. I got him the bagels anyway because I was trying to develop a relationship with you. So how you been?
Doing good. Can't complain. Undefeated for 12 years. Life is good.
Undefeated for 12 years. This Final Four, I love it. I hate some of the takes during this tournament after the first round. Oh, worst tournament ever, brutal. The years where we get Cinderellas, people sit here, they bitch and complain that the games aren't that competitive late. In the years that we have 4 number 1 seeds here, people still aren't happy. It's like you can't appease anybody these days. People
are happily miserable. I mean, that's just the way it is. Talk radio, social media, everyone's an expert, especially if they don't have to put a real person next to it. This is an incredible Final Four. You've got the best playing the best. It doesn't always end up this way. These 4 teams, their body of work was far superior to anyone else's body of work during the course of the season. I always wanted good on good. I mean, that's just the way it is. So we've gotten good on good. We've got 2 young coaches, 2 old coaches. We've got 2 coaches whose sons are on their staffs. We got 3 Jewish coaches. We got a little bit of everything in this thing, but we've got the 4 best teams through the course of the season. And to me, these games are going to be incredible. Can you impose your identity on the game? Can you withstand different runs from your opponent? This is going to be a coaching clinic, all 3 of the games that we're going to see this weekend.
I thought for the majority of the season, Duke was, for me, my best team in the country. I loved Auburn. Then going into the NCAA tournament, they lost 3 out of 4, and everyone then jumped to Florida with the great run that they've been on, winning the SEC. Let me start you off with Auburn and Florida. I think Denver Jones and Tahad Pettiford are going to be their 2 biggest players if they're going to win. And, man, what else is there left to say about Walter Clayton Jr.? He's been phenomenal.
Yeah, I think this game's going to come down for Auburn. They got to take care of the ball, take good shots. Like, I went back and watched that game that they lost to Florida at home, Auburn. Yeah. Their shot selection was horrific. And your shot selection and your ball security is connected to your defensive transition. And they got scorched. They gave up, I think, 17 points in transition. So they got to take better shots. They got to take care of the basketball. They got to play through Janai Broome, but he's got to play well. He didn't play well in that game last time. They threw it to him, and Congdon's length and quickness bothered him. They sat on his right shoulder. They took it away. They forced him back the other way. That was a problem. He's got to go quicker or inside pivot and face and create a little bit of space. But that's going to be the key. And then defensively, they got to have better discipline. They didn't have great discipline. Their ball screen defense, I got to believe, will change in this game because they were playing a lot of drop coverage and they downed stuff on the side, and that's when kind of Clayton gets a little room and they move you a little bit. So it's going to be really good. In Florida, they've just got to play better than they played in the tournament thus far, more consistent than they've played in the tournament thus far.
It's wild. They should have lost the Elite 8 game. They were able to pull a rabbit out of the hat, down 9 with over 3:15 to go.
They should have lost to UConn.
Yeah. Actually, it's weird because you usually have one moment. You can't all be UConn. You can't all be Villanova. Their 3rd national championship that they won as a program where they just walk through everybody. There's usually one game that you get scared and you're lucky to advance. They've had 2 of those now.
Yeah, when I was at Virginia, we went to the Final Four in '84. We had 2 of them. We had Rory Grimes, Iona, had a full court lay-in almost to beat us, and then we had a great game against Indiana. But I was at the SEC tournament. And I watched 3 days of a team that had no fear, played with great pace, great confidence, great freedom, great connectivity offensively and defensively, great versatility in terms of their lineups and their bigs. They haven't played that way in the tournament. You got to give the other team credit to some extent. But this Florida team, when they're playing their very best, is a hard out because the force and the pace they play with, and then the number of playmakers and shot makers, because it's not just Clayton. It's Will Richard. It's Elijah Martin. It's Condon creating a matchup. It's Chinyalu getting to the offensive the glass. It's the guys they bringing Aberdeen off the bench, who's a problem. Hand Logden, who gives them 5 more fouls up front. I mean, they have a lot of different ways to beat you, but each of these teams kind of has a lot of different ways to beat you. That's why they're here.
Would you agree with this statement? Cooper Flagg is the best player in the tournament, but the most entertaining is Walter Clayton Jr.?
Well, especially at the end of a shot clock, at the end of a game. I mean, Walter Clayton Jr. has been just absolutely phenomenal.
Stop right in front of the rim and then go take a three. That's like the ultimate no, yes moment.
Well, I mean, and getting yourself behind the ball, get yourself on balance and jump up and knock down that shot. It was just incredible. But, yeah, Cooper Flagg is the most versatile player in the tournament. Like we say, the best. You know, he hasn't had the best tournament. Actually, Knipple, for the tournament, might have had a better tournament. I mean, Knipple, last game, I mean, when Cooper Flagg made those 3 turnovers and his mom cursed him out, Knipple, he was the most consistent player. And then like the development of Malowich is, I'm doing a tape for our game day show tomorrow on their defense. And they pick you up, Duke, one step over the three-point line. They can switch 1 through 5, they can switch 1, 2, 3, they can switch 1 through 4. The versatility, but their defense and their length, that they can run you off the 3 and run you to the rim and protect the rim. But they're going to be challenged by Houston. But, I think that the most versatile player in the tournament is obviously Cooper. He's just different in terms of his versatility.
What do you think the NBA draft projection is? Because I saw you at the draft this year. You do a great job breaking everything down, Seth Greenberg, for Walter Clayton Jr. Like, how do you view him as a potential pro?
I think he's going to be a good pro because he's a shot maker and he can play in space and he can play in drag, ball screens. He's a willing passer. He's got strength. He's got leadership from that football stuff that he's done, and he shoots it. You got to be able to make shots to be a difference maker in the NBA, and that dude makes shots. I think he's like he's got a little bit of to me like Fred VanVleet.
Okay.
Bigger. A little bigger, but
I said Curry. I know that's going to the extreme.
That's Jay Will. Jay Will likes the Curry comparison. I refuse to agree with Jay Will. It's my guy.
Seth Greenberg here with us. The coaching matchup. So, Bruce Pearl and Kelvin Sampson, what they've done at Auburn and Houston is I was at a game once, Temple Houston, and Temple actually beat Houston. And Kelvin Sampson was going after the officials a little bit. And I may have had a few pops, right? It was.
Did you say something?
I had a few drinks.
You are the all-time Temple homer. We understand that.
I'm not a homer. The program needs to be a lot better. We need some NIL funding. If the company that I work for, when I had a few zeros in my paychecks, I could start donating more to my alma mater.
Man, it's negotiating a new contract. Anything I can do to help your show.
I'll give you 5%, But anyway, I saw Kelvin Sampson there, and he was like taking off his tie. He was collapsing. He was going nuts, and I'm heckling him. And I'm like, put your tie back on. Stop screaming. Like, sit down. Be nice to the officials. I looked at the record the other day. Since that video that I took, he's 234 at Houston. What he's doing at Houston, what Bruce Pearl is doing at Auburn, I'm running out of things to say when I praise them.
Yeah, no, first of all, unrelenting is the word I use for Coach Sampson. I mean, I've known Coach for forever. I mean, and Kelvin is – there's only way you go to that practice is almost right is wrong. There's only one way to do things. It's the right way, full blast, with incredible force and toughness and physicality. He puts that rebound bubble on top of that basket, and guys go at it. I mean, they go at it. And then when he teaches, he's a terrific teacher. And what they do, they don't do a ton. But what they do really, really well. And that's a great lesson for young coaches. You don't have to trick them. Figure out what you're going to do well, and then impose it on your opponent. And that's exactly going to be the challenge for Duke and the challenge for Houston. I mean, I say the first 4 minutes of the game, I think Houston turns Duke over 3 times. Because you can talk about their rebounding, you can talk about the blitzes of the ball screens, and you can talk about the post doubles, and you can talk about all those things. Until you see a game speed, you can show it on film, but until you've got to be bloodied a little bit. And then you got to respond. But
can
Kelvin's
Houston,
terrific.
though, can they knock out Duke early like they did to Tennessee, in your opinion?
No, too many weapons. Look, Tennessee was Tennessee all season long. They had games, unfortunately for Rick, like they had the other day. What Houston did was they took away what Tennessee does well. Tennessee did that better against Kentucky. Like I was worried about Tennessee-Kentucky because, Kentucky has those 2 guards, Oweh and Butler, that kind of take away Lanier and Zakai. But Houston just took, Zakai and Lanier out of the game. And then up front, the ball went up on the glass, and you had a bunch of guys in Tennessee fouling the fly to the ball, and those guys at Houston were just flying around. That's not going to happen. And then you got to decide. Like, do you watch the Purdue game if you're Duke? I watch the Purdue game and I see how they rescreen and all those high ball screens. So, like, they're going to try to trap your ball screen. So if you come off the first time and you stretch that big out that you're trapping, and then you flip it right back and you rescreen it, can that guy get back and play? Well, if he can't get back and play, then those three guys behind are starting to rotate, and that's how you get pretty good shots. So I'm sure that Jon will look at some of those things and say, all right, how can we exploit that? Where just like Kelvin's going to look at things and say, well, Duke's going to switch 1 through 4. Can we create a switch where we get a big on a small, pull a big away from the basket, and that big on a small is going to get us an offensive rebound and we don't make it? So those are the games inside the games that I'm excited about watching.
When you get to Jon Scheyer at Duke, right, a few years now since we last saw Coach K coach on the sideline, so that's a task that's so tough. I know you're at Duke, but, hey, we've seen other legendary coaches get replaced and it hasn't worked out as nicely as this one has. When you look at him as a coach, a lot of people just be like, oh, it's Duke. You can put anyone at Duke and they could win. What stands out to you with what Jon Scheyer has done?
He's not Coach K. Everything he's doing is in his own personality. Coach K is the matriarch, but this is Jon Scheyer's program and no one else's program. And Coach K obviously is a resource, but Jon Scheyer's coached this team and built this roster with his own design. And, he's fiercely competitive. If you coached against him as a player, you knew that, but he does it in a different way. There's different ways to demand of your team. There's different ways of setting a standard. There's different ways of holding people accountable. And I think Jon's just done an incredible job. And I remember I was driving to New York to see my mom, and just after they had some of those guys leave, and I gave him a call, and I said, how you doing? He said, I'm doing great, Coach. I said, do you have a plan? He said, yep, I have a plan. I'm going to build this team around Cooper. I'm going to make sure that we have enough experience. We're going to retain the right guys. We're going to get the right pieces. We love our freshman class. We got to get just the right pieces around those guys. And that's exactly what he did. And what he did was then, he didn't realize that Con Knippel was that good, but it was his responsibility to the program to tell Mason Gillis, you're going to have to come off the bench. And he sold it for him. Malik Brown, through the injuries, they've played through that. Having to tell Caleb Foster that Sion James beat him out after a guy that had been there for 2 years, not an easy thing to do, but as a head coach, you got to make tough decisions, and he wasn't afraid to make the tough decisions. He didn't want to appease people. He wanted to make decisions that was the best interest of his program, and that's what he did.
Seth Greenberg, how far are you willing to go in terms of Cooper Flagg at the next level?
I think he'll be an all-star eventually. I don't think he's going to be an all-star. Look, he's 18 years old. He's 18 years old. I mean, he's going to get stronger. He's going to get a little more explosive. He's going to be up to – he doesn't hit a spot and elevate. In his back downs, is he going to be able to play off those back downs in the NBA next year? No, probably not. But the open floor, he's going to be really good. Defensive rebound with space and the spacing that you play in the NBA, really good. Defensive range, really good. So, I think he, depending on the team he goes to, a starter and a guy that impacts winning. But he's, I would say, 22. Like, let's put it this way. My man at Detroit.
Cade Cunningham.
Right, he didn't really impact winning his first few years, and then all of a sudden, the light bulb goes on, and you see what he did. So, I think Cooper's going to have a similar kind of journey. But great teammate, loves to be coached, been at many of their practices, competitive in practice, listens, hears, has a little edge to him. I think Knippel's going to be a good pro. I tell you, the more I watched film on Duke, really locking in on them to prepare for our game day show. Knippel can really guard the ball. Like, he's a physical on-ball defender. He can put the ball handler on his chest and just guard the ball. I mean, and that's the thing about this Duke team. Like, we talk about the great defense of Houston. Duke's defense is ridiculous.
Oh, they did to Alabama was insane.
Wow,
I thought that was going to be the game of the tournament, and it was over early.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
You go Duke or the field to win it all?
Oh, I don't know. I'll tell you on game day. My
pick.
Come
on, you can give us a little appetizer
I'll
here.
give you an appetizer.
Give me a little pig in the blanket here. Come on.
I'll give you this right here.
We're two Jewish guys talking. You can give me a pig in the blanket
I'll give you. Before this past weekend, I had 99.9% of the bracket correct.
You did?
Yeah. And then I
the actual bracket, or you filled them in after the results?
No. I'm talking about the bracket we fill out in 2 minutes on our bracketology show. Having said that, my heart got pulled with Barnesy and Izzo. Two really, really good long-term friends. We grew up in the business together. So I went with those two guys, and obviously dropped a little bit. My picks going into the tournament was Duke and Florida, with Florida winning. Florida's got to play better to win. How's that one for you?
That's fine. And I look at Auburn. It feels like Auburn's getting a little disrespected going into this game.
No, I think they are. It's
for
really,
a traditional number 1 overall seed.
This is real simple. There's a line. Chad Baker, Mazzara, you're behind the line, no good to us. You cross the line, you're getting tossed out. You straddle the line, and everyone else on your team has a different personality. And I think he's going to be really, really important. But ball security and shot selection, they can't go through these periods where they ignore Janai Broom. They take bad shots, and people get out in transition. And look, we were at the Alabama game at Alabama. Defense was terrific, and their shot selection was good. And when they're at their very best, they could beat anyone.
He's Seth Greenberg, ESPN, longtime coach. Now, how many years have you been doing the analyst stuff for?
12 years.
It's been 12 years?
And a friend of the program.
Obviously. Well, you got to at least be on 3 times to be a friend of the program. That's my algorithm, and you've been on more than 3 times.
I was on 3 times when you were on Temple Radio.
Actually, I think in high school in my parents' basement. You know, they're reward tiers. We'll send you a gift bag or something.
I appreciate
like
that. Bagels.
Yeah, we'll get you more bagels.
Not great bagels in Avon, Connecticut.
You make enough money now at ESPN. I think you made enough money when you were coaching. I may be hitting you up for things. Anyway, great to see you.
Great seeing you, buddy.